Yeah, and we're live on Facebook.
All right.
Okay. Hi, Facebook.
Hello, hello, Facebook. And more faces on Facebook. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
So now let me also share it to our group.
For our great guests on Zoom, it would be awesome if you guys put your cameras on.
At least for a moment.
At least for a moment. Now I'm muted. Hi, Marta. Aithan, Nina.
Hi, guys. Thank you, Julia, for doing that. Yeah.
Nicola. Hi, guys. So good to see you. Yeah. We cannot hear you, Julia, but you're probably saying something important.
Ingrid usually does that. She turns off mutes everyone, and that's what happens.
So you're on Facebook Live, you guys.
Yes, and that's why we're saying if anybody wants to invite anybody else, now is the time to do it. Share it on your Facebook.
Yes.
Let's go into the world. I'm doing it right now, so it's not that I'm just talking about it. It's happening. Oh yeah. All right. And here we got Ingrid, who is going to introduce our session class tonight.
Okay. So welcome everybody here at Zoom and everybody joining us on Facebook Live. We have a second special edition of Inspiring Impact, Fireside Chat. Last time I was so inspired by the dancing you did and diving into the unknown, and together today we have the second edition, so I'm very excited to introduce Julia Jelinska, Aithan Shapira, and I have to put on my glasses for Joanna Shmura for your last name. Sorry.
Thank you.
And they are taking us into another edition of Diving into the Unknown, dancing. So I'm very inspiring how they do that. I love to dance, but I sometimes do not know how to, and they will guide us. Okay, thank you guys. Enjoy this meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. We might have somebody who doesn't know us as an organization, Polaris, I think. So perhaps Ingrid is our co-founder. Thanks to her, we are all here together. It's been 5 years that she's been carrying this wonderful work, carrying it out. So perhaps a few words about Polaris, Ingrid.
Yeah, I will. Sorry, forgot that. I'm so excited about this evening. So Polaris is a network that helps women, non-locals, non-Dutch, to develop themselves into a position where they can have impact. So we are fully into equal opportunities for all. For that, we have a mentoring program, which is very successful. We have monthly Ask Me Anything interviews, where we interview inspiring people. We have a leadership suite, where we have various modules on executive presence, on your values, on your personal branding, etc., etc. And this series, Inspiring Impact, is our annual, flagship event where we hope to inspire people into supporting us on creating diverse teams everywhere in the world, because diverse teams make better decisions based upon long-term perspectives and not short-term gains, and take sustainability into their core. And that's what we thrive for. So in short, that's Polaris.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. And I will be your host today. I'm also part of the board of Polaris, and I'm happy to be able to create this wonderful event with Aithan and Joanna. And I would like to invite them to present themselves and maybe answer one question that will be a trick question. Or not really. We didn't practice that because we always do it this way. We don't practice this. So tell us, do you dance?
Aithan, is it? Okay, yes, it's a question for me then. Because I'm looking at the mute unmute button on his
I see.
Vanessa was like, oh no, he's not unmuting. Then it's my turn then. No, just kidding. Thank you for the inspiring question. Well, as a matter of fact, I used to be a professional ballroom dancer. So I used to dance since I was 6 years old, and then it turned into first it was a hobby, and then it turned into a passion, and then turned into something I did when I didn't study, when I didn't go to school. I used to dance all the time. So comparing the unknown and comparing what we're dealing with right now and we've been dealing with for the past year is exactly what dancing is all about. It's about trying new steps. It's about learning something new. It's about changing the partner you dance with. It's about listening to the tune or missing the tune and trying to dance anyway. So this experience of me being a dancer and trying to figure things out while moving on is really helpful during these times. And also dancing in the kitchen is also helpful. So yes, very much so. Over to you, Aithan.
Joanna, thank you for that. I didn't know you were a ballroom dancer. And Julia, thank you. Ingrid, Polaris, Aithan Shapira. And I feel like my answer to that question is, I think we're dancing right now. Speaking and listening is a dance. The way we communicate is a dance. I just don't know if it's a waltz or a tango right now, but I think we're dancing. And I think I dance with my daughters all the time, and they don't usually have their feet on the ground when we're doing it. And when they do, they're on my feet or some other things. And but I think that, yeah, it's not just a physical thing, even though I think, again, everything's physical, but I think we're always in this give and take, in this conversation where things are shifting between two different people and the way we connect.
Thank you for that. It's really good to know a little bit more about you and Joanna as well, and about your lives, not just about what we come here to talk about, which is not necessarily so intimate and so personal. So thank you for sharing. Great. Shall we start our session, because we only have an hour. We learned from last session that an hour is really not that long. Now we know. So shall we go for it? How do we tame the unknown? Such a simple question, right?
It is a simple question, and I guess the answer is also quite a simple one. It's just that we don't like the simple answers. We're trying to find a solution that is more, which, at least in my case, and at least in the case of the stories of the people I work with, I hear all the time, like, give me just like a pill, psychological pill for all that is happening. And I think I miss the easiest solution, but I think the solutions that we have consists of two steps. The first one is to sort of accept that unknown is going to be here anyway. Sometimes we're going to call it COVID-19. Sometimes we're going to call it economic downfall. Sometimes we're going to call it divorce. Whatever happens in our lives, there's going to be, it's part of life. So the first step is to just accept that it's going to be that way anyway, which is not an easy step. And I'm talking from experience. It's not an easy step. And the second one is trying to gather courage and curiosity to actually dive into deeper and trying to figure things out. What's new in it? How it's going to develop me from the inside or from the outside? How it's going to invite me to become somebody else that I wasn't ready to be a year ago. So that's how I would approach, and I still try to approach. So trying to tolerate, accept, maybe someday fall in love with the unknown, and always ask myself the question of, what is it inviting me to? Who am I becoming along the way? What chances are opening right now? What are the doors that I need to choose and go in? So that's what taming the unknown for me is.
It seemed like a simple answer indeed in the beginning.
At the beginning, yes. Yes. Yeah, just one more thing. When you said that, actually, the sense of humor that we usually have when we chat, the three of us, and also now 16 of us and 10 people on Facebook and even more, I think sense of humor is something that is crucial when facing the unknown. Like, honestly, this is jokes, stories, trying to, have fun along the way, I think is one of the fuels that's going to get us from point A to point B, and then from point B to C, and along the way. So sense of humor is honestly something I need to have throughout the day to actually tame the unknown, because sometimes you just want to cry and I want to balance it with laughing.
Indeed. Very familiar with these two.
Yes. Yeah, and Aithan, what's your recipe for taming the unknown?
I think I don't know if it makes me a good chef or not. I keep changing the recipe, but what I think that happens for me is like, what do you do when you're in free fall? Like, there's nothing to hold on to, right? So like, you're gonna try, like, but I think that, I think what you said about looking inside instead of looking outside for our answers has something to do with it. And I think that taming has this, like, I just have this image, like this like lion or tiger or something coming at me, and I've got a chair, that's all I've got. Like, come on, get out of here, because there's unknown things like this beast that I'm afraid of, or that I feel a discomfort with. And then I think, well, if I'm afraid of something, like, what's the, I'm gonna use the word transmutation. Like, what's the opposite of fear, right? Or how can I shift the fear of not knowing? And I might say, it's what happens in my body, like the cortisol, like whatever the chemicals are in fear and in excitement are the same. Or there's a very strong, so like what scares me and where I get excited, what I get curious about, when I'm dancing with someone and my partner in the dance, if I knew what that person was going to do in that moment, it wouldn't be as exciting as in the little shift of weight for me, right? I better know all the moves. So when my partner makes a move, I have a place or an orientation, say, oh, they're doing a this. So I can do the reciprocal or a complement of that thing. But maybe what I can do is practice two things. One is I should probably be some version of an expert in some capacity. So I always want to build my expertise, but then that doesn't make me good at the unknown. I have to practice then, which is kind of the opposite of becoming an expert, which is practice not knowing. Practice this moment and what happens when I engage with the part of me that doesn't want to change.
And do you notice how often we hear, and I'm speaking also from experience, how often we hear that practicing is not only that something that people are afraid of, but also that they don't want to do it because they will look a certain way, or it will make them, that vulnerability of showing that they don't know, it scares them so much that it stops them. And I have to admit, sometimes it scared me so much as well. So when we talked about last time, whether you go through, above or around, I've practiced all of them. And every single time I practice something new and I try, and this is one of those things. There is this fear, right? But that excitement you're talking about, it can be something that pushes you forward to actually go for it. Or sometimes really take you back a couple of steps and you have to wait for another opportunity to practice how it is to be a beginner, how it is to try something you've never tried before. So how do we get into actually going for it? Because I guess if you always retreat, it's a way, but is this really the way to deal with uncertainty?
Well, it's tempting to sometimes go backwards. It's so tempting. For example, I'm doing a big speech on Monday, the following weekend, and I'm going to do it for in normal times, I would travel to Spain to do it. So I missed that part of the whole thing. That would probably help me with the stress level, just, see something different, see the beautiful country that Spain is. But I'm doing it online. And it's always been like that. Like for the last 10 years, every time I get a great opportunity, the moment I have to step in, like Monday morning when I know it's unavoidable, I feel like, why the heck did I say yes? Why the heck did I say yes? It's the very last time. I don't need those kind of, stress levels. I'm just going to do it locally and with the people I know and not that far away. But the moment I step in and it starts, like it's the right time to do it, and I start doing it, and right after I finish it, like after 60 or 90 or 2 hours, I feel like, yeah. So I have to remind myself of the feeling afterwards, so that I'm not withdrawn with going into. And I have to, I also write down in my notebook, sometimes on my phone, the feelings I feel right afterwards. I answer the questions: why did I do it? How do I feel? What does it make me? What steps? How much has I changed by doing it? So that the next time I say yes and I want to withdraw and tell them I'm sick, I'm sorry, I'm very sick, I cannot do it, I go back to the notes, read it, and say, okay, this is why I'm going to do it. And it's part of one of the tactics that we're going to hopefully ask our audience about. And it's about trusting yourself, trusting that it's going to serve you one way or the other, but trusting yourself and also believing in yourself. So having loads of self-compassion and accepting that it's going to be challenging at the beginning, or always, like in my case, it's always challenging, but then trust that it's going to turn out the best way possible for me, for the audience. And also it's going to change me a tiny bit into somebody else that I could not change into unless I walked into that doors. So that's how I deal with that. Aithan, do you get stage fright at all?
I have stage fright right now. I'm like so afraid, like it's absolutely. And I'm excited about it, because I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? I have no idea. I don't know what I'm going to say next. Totally, totally. And I think that, so what's up for me also about it is the creativity and something about choicefulness, having more choices available to us and how we make them. So I have a mentor who she'll always say to me, choice is all we have. That's the only thing you've got right now is a choice. That literally that's all you got. I said, oh man, am I excited by that? I'm really disappointed by that. That's all I've got. And then the idea is, what do you do with that choice in that moment? And are we going to choose to work with the thing that we are most comfortable? When people play the piano or they're practicing a piano, I played for many years, 8 hours a day from the age of about 8 to about 18 years old. And so when I played the piano and I'm clicking, and it's like, you can go and sit in front of a piano and play the part that you're familiar with. That sounds really good. And it sounds really good. You play it again, you play it again, you play it again. And that doesn't support your creativity, actually. And so, or you can play the part that, like the part that's challenging. And then for everyone else around you, it's back to what Julia, what you were saying, like everyone else around you, it's like, why, you're terrible. You sound terrible. Or you're just playing it on repeat. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, no, can't you see that I'm working with there's a nuance. I'm trying to figure out why this finger is so close to this finger. It won't like move away, whatever it is that you're working on. And so I think there's a vulnerability and a comfort that we have to work on around being comfortable in the discomfort around others, or the discomfort, or making a community where others are also practicing whatever is challenging to them. And the other part of that's difficult for me, I think, in the community that I notice when working with communities, is that someone is next to me, I might be really like, really? That's a hard thing for you? That's a hard thing for you? And they're looking at me and saying, really? That's a hard thing for you? Like, what do you? And so what it is that we're all working on developmentally is different. And so I think we always have to have that in our awareness, that everyone's in a different place. It's super complex.
And everybody's on a different journey. I think we have some interesting comments as well coming in, which is great. And please do share with us your thoughts, whoever is willing to do that. We can check also Facebook, so no problem. We see that there are some nice suggestions on how to tame the unknown. For example, having a buddy, a partner, somebody to do it with, because it's easier to try it again with somebody who is there to support you, like you mentioned, that community, indeed, where you feel that you are safe and that you can try whatever you want to try. We also have a comment about experiencing two types of fear, what you talked about, Nathan, that there is a tingle of exhilaration, wonderful word, this is what I'm trying right now, not great, exhilaration, and awe. While there's also a sense of threat and panic. So are you going to be frozen? Are you going to flee? Or are you going to fight, right? There's also all those three responses that we always have available in terms of our reaction. And I'm curious whether this would be actually a good moment to go into our question for the audience. And for that, we would like to ask everybody to take out their phones or type into their search engines, whatever that is. And soon you will see what. You have to go to a website, www.menti.com, MENTE, and we will do a poll with you. We would like to hear from you because otherwise it's very difficult with 20 people, oh no, a little bit more, over 20 people that we have to ask everybody to share into the comment section. So let's see, what strategies are you using to tame the unknown? And we've got 5 options that we talked about without really naming them, although a little bit when Joasia talked about the way she deals with taming the unknown. We've got self-compassion, gratitude, empathy, vulnerability, and trust. So if you go to that website, www.menti.com, you will see a place to put in a code. You need to put in the code 667385. And I'm going to do that too right now because we are all dealing with the unknown. So I think it's important that we go there together. And now you enter the code 667385. You can vote. You can add up to 5 and tell us what is your way. Okay, and click submit. And then soon we will see the results. The results are not being shown yet so that you can choose and decide for yourself. We have 7 people who voted. And we know that we've got around 20 because it comes in and out. So let's wait a little bit. I am very curious about the result of that poll.
We forgot to add dancing, guys.
Yeah, it's all kinds of dancing, right? But actually, a self-compassion is a dance with yourself. Gratitude is another type, right? There's like tango here, salsa there. We all like our different styles, and I think it's something we should add. Maybe next question will be, which type of dance is which? We will send you the results later.
Yes.
Oh, somebody is drawing on the screen. That's nice. Hashtag the unknown.
I see the unknown, yes.
Let's see what happens because that's happening. Oh, on the other. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Whoever can do that, again, please. That's always welcome. We love that, and we love back. We've got 15 people who voted now, so let's have a look. I think whoever needs to do it, you can still do it. Let's see. Please, my wonderful laptop, please cooperate. Haha, here we go. So we've got a tie here, and maybe if more people vote, we will see. We've got self-compassion and trust. And then followed by gratitude. Oh, more, but still the same. It's interesting. It's always interesting when there is a tie. And then with gratitude, vulnerability, and empathy scoring the lowest. Isn't that interesting? Is there anybody who would like to put in the comments justification of their vote, or trying to understand why empathy is at the very bottom as a way to tame the unknown? Because it's super curious, isn't it?
That's interesting. Yes, that's really interesting. Maybe we didn't talk about empathy strong enough. We should point out that, yeah, let's go back to school. And this is the wrong answer, guys. You should have empathy. Fail.
Yeah, we forgot to answer. This is a safe space. There are no wrong answers. It's only a matter of, okay, what seems to be more popular, what's not within our audience. Again, don't feel bad if you actually check the empathy.
No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Then you're not alone, because some of us actually did that. So that's empathy as well. We know how you feel now, that we thought, oh no. Shall we think about, because I think 16 is not moving anymore, how to interpret these results? Aithan, any thoughts?
It's interesting. My first thought on empathy is, so much as we're saying, a lot of it is, look inside. And empathy, we often, I imagine, we think of as looking at another. So if I'm unknown, if I'm uncertain, I need, and I don't mean this in the negative version of the word, but ego. My ego is there in a positive way. It's there to protect me. It's there to keep me at homeostasis, keep me comfortable, keep me secure, keep me safe, make sure I'm nourishing myself, I'm eating, I'm taking care. My ego is there to sustain me. And so when it's unknown, it's disrupting my body. Our bodies are incredible at keeping homeostasis, keeping everything at whatever normal is for us. And so the moment unknown happens, it throws my system off, and my system says, hey, protect, and it's built to do, we're built to do that. And so to have empathy, there's something else going on with another and so on. And I wonder how we can say where self-compassion and where empathy can overlap. And I wonder what's coming up for people in that space.
Yeah. Isn't that something that you are very familiar with, Joanna? I think that empathy, self-compassion, that dance between these two.
Yeah. And actually, when Aithan was explaining how you understand the outcome of this poll, what came to my mind is that, funny enough, empathy is the only thing out of these 5 that we actually need other people for. All the rest is just, I can do it on my own. And with the social distancing and with staying at home, or should I say stuck at home, maybe there's something around that we, and I see it in Poland, that we are sort of ashamed of asking out for help. We're so, independent. Yeah, we can do it all alone. And I don't think it's a national thing, Polish thing. I think it's a global thing, I think, because we're so able to do everything on our own. Shopping, going to places, traveling, not now, but we used to be able to do it. So we sort of maybe neglected the whole skill of building empathetic relationships with others, which is a funny case in case of COVID, because really right now is the main thing we need, like staying in touch and talking to people and reaching out for help, but also offering help to others. So that was my first thought. And then I was rooting for self-compassion, which is I think self-compassion could save the world. Like, honestly, if I were a goddess for a day, I would just use my magic wand and just tap every single person in the world with a self-compassion wand, and just, because if each and every single one of us today, and on Facebook and anybody who's going to watch it afterwards, if we just lived a one-day experience with self-compassion at the forefront, I think we could be better people to ourselves, to others. And being better to others means having better relationships at work, at home. And so I think self-compassion is the new black. So I'm grateful that has won this competition of ours. So thank you guys for choosing the right answer.
Oh, it's good that we didn't send the questions beforehand, right? So this is a real-time result. This is how we do it. And this is the unknown. Yeah, indeed, that self-compassion, I think it's been misunderstood for a very long time, right? We don't necessarily always understand what it means to take care of ourselves. And that ego conversation, where is the ego? Where is the self-compassion? Where is that? When one becomes the other? That's another side of the dance, right?
Yes.
Empathy, where you need somebody else to help you also feel perhaps that self-compassion that you would feel for somebody else as compassion, to apply it to yourself. But then there is this other side. Where do I know that my ego ends and my self-care and my self-love and my self-compassion starts, right? That line there is also a little bit difficult to find sometimes.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to find, but as we talked about it last time, the solution out of being trapped by ego is self-awareness and self-love and mindfulness. I guess that's how we stay out of letting ego rule the world, because we need it in some psychological sense. We do need an ego, a healthy dose of that, but self-awareness is the one that is going to help us through. So again, it all comes back to building self-awareness and being aware of what is happening inside of me. Why am I doing what I'm doing? Is I'm doing it for myself, or is I doing it to love myself with something? So that's a difficult dance, trying to figure out what is the reason behind what I'm saying, what I'm doing, what I'm thinking. Is it ego or is it love?
Mm-hmm. And I guess that trust comes into play there as well, where can you trust yourself and how you feel and what you feel? Can you really rely on yourself and what your body is telling you, what your mind is telling you, what you feel, your emotions, and what do you do with it? How do you channel it later on?
You know, what's coming up for me is it's like a very there's the good news, like and the good news for me right now is that the people that I'm in communication with and executives I'm speaking with, colleagues, is just that I think we're in a moment where we're seeing ourselves and others around us really, there's like a softening happening. Everyone that I'm in communication with is experiencing some kind of softness around our edges, around everything, and a ripeness that comes with that. Because what normally protects us is just, there's like a, you know, inside, outside, all this stuff. I'm feeling very vulnerable and comfort with that. And in that moment, there's a lot of potential to mold things when things get softer, to shift, move differently, and say, you know, reform in some way myself, reshape myself and my connection to others. And so I think there's something really wonderful about that. And when I look at these options down here, these 5 options, there's a chance for me, I'm being more vulnerable. I have an opportunity to connect with you because we're both in that place, in empathy. There's some gratitude. There's like this softening where you can say, I can address these things the way I want to right now. That might be different and take a bigger chance. I think that's a really good opportunity that we have right now.
Mm-hmm. And it's great that you actually say that, because that's also something that one of our participants picked up on, that there will be different situations, different unknowns, and therefore everybody will apply maybe different strategies. We'll use different tools, let's call them, right? So there are indeed more possible answers. We narrowed them down for our 1-hour conversation. Because we've met before, and we could talk about this topic forever and ever. So here we are looking at those specifically and how they influence us in our daily lives. I would suggest that we go to the next question, because that next question puts actually where we are into a specific situation. So we are wondering, and please share with us, which strategies did you actually develop more or at all during the pandemic? So now we have a little bit more specific situation. Of course, everybody lives differently throughout the pandemic, but let's see which of those strategies is the one that you are applying more or learning more. You can go back to your website, refresh it. This question should pop up. And otherwise, you can put in again mentee.com and then the code 667385. I'm doing this with you so that we are all in this together. Hashtag another one, right? And that's the empathy, where I understand if it's frustrating, because it is. It could go much faster and better. Hopefully, Mentee is going to look at our questions and maybe comments and change something in the future. Let me see, which strategies did you develop during the pandemic? Or still working on? I would add, or are you still working on? Because it's a work in progress. Ta-da. Okay. We've got 13 people who voted, and as we know, there are more of us. So yeah, we have, I would say, let's wait at least to get over 15. Then we will have the majority. It's exciting.
In the meanwhile, some of you may draw another heart if you're tempted to. That's okay.
Any other form of expression, artistic or otherwise, is welcome.
Creativity is something plenty of us were forced to develop during the last 12 months, like playing with kids, creating stuff, self-made, handmade, cooking. So yeah, creativity is something that definitely is more broadened right now. I even heard, just while you're putting on your answers, I've heard that in the UK, the sales of Jigsaw has like skyrocketed, like a couple 100% comparing to last year's sales. Wow. Like people started doing jigsaws and because they were stuck at home and they had to do something, and it's a huge market right now. So if you're looking for, I don't know, late Valentine's gifts or early Christmas gifts, jigsaw.
Coming up, right? There was Chinese New Year. Happy New Year, everyone, just last week. So plenty of things to celebrate. Right? Okay, we've got 16 people. So as I said, we crossed that magical threshold of 15. And now let's see the magic. Ta-da! Aha! Ah, that's different. People are also saying that in the Netherlands, the same statistics apply. More puzzles. So that's interesting in the Netherlands. Curious what will be in Poland, for example, and in the US. Okay, so we've got interesting new results. Gratitude coming in first, developed during the pandemic. 31% of us think so, so 1/3. You can still put in your comments, so maybe that dynamic will change. Self-compassion is now moved to number 2, followed by, we've got another tie, empathy and trust, and vulnerability, it's 10%. Does it mean that we've always had it and we've always been vulnerable? What do you think, Joanna?
I think we're fed up with vulnerability for the past 12 months. So we just want to take it anymore. We just want to, just safety. And vulnerability is exactly opposite. Being vulnerable means taking risk. The definition, the Brené Brown's definition is vulnerability means taking risk, dealing with the unknown, and feeling all the emotions. These are not 3 sexy things when you look back at the last 12 months. So it's a way through, it's a way out, and it's a way to everything we long for, like love, creativity. And so I'm just joking around, but honestly, vulnerability is the crucial piece, but it's exhausting: risk, uncertainty, and emotional exposure. So I guess that's why maybe, again, this is just for fun. The poll is for fun, not statistically correct in any way, but it makes me think that maybe we're just tired of being vulnerable, and we had to learn how to be grateful with what we have. Like, it is what it is, and you can choose. You can either be grateful, or you can just sleep 12 months through.
Oh, sleep! I think we should add this there. Sleep. What are you still working on? Sleeping. Yeah, we should have another poll on some completely different things. Say playing games. Sleeping, creativity, other types, absolutely. We will do that after that call. Aithan, how do you interpret these results from your perspective?
Something that's coming up for me when I'm looking at this is, we often, I think, whether we know it or not, whether we're conscious of it or aware of it or not, work in opposites and complements. So I think when I'm noticing all the things I don't have because of COVID, that, in relationship to the pandemic here, then I start to become grateful for what I do. Like, I just start to say, oh my goodness, I don't have all this, but you know what, here's what I do have. And it's like an equal and opposite reaction it's the way physics works. But then when I face the unknown, and the more I'm involved with the unknown, what I orient to is, well, here's what I do know. Here's the stuff that I do know. And I think globally, even pre-pandemic, I think our planet or humanity, what I'm seeing is many more of us with new innovations, the speed of technology, the speed of change, the speed at which things are just shifting and moving, going quicker externally, moving quicker than how we can change internally. And in that moment, my internal system is just trying to catch up to, like, I go to the grocery store and I see 10 more kinds of sauces than I saw last week. And I say, oh my goodness, well, which one do I pick now? And it's not that, I don't know which sauce I want or which one is my favorite, but there's all these choices and it's changing. And so when I notice I don't know, I say, politically, economically, let's go back to the way things were. At least we knew it. So we're seeing a big shift in the past bunch of years towards the things like comments, slogans, lines. Let's do things the way they used to be. And I think that's an opposite and equal reaction to what the success is of us moving quicker and faster and shifting and changing. And so there's still that tension that's happening equally in force. And so it's a sign of what's actually happening. And my challenge, I guess, to us, my takeaway from this and a challenge for us is, can we work and allow those opposites to appreciate both sides of the opposite and try both? Yeah.
Yeah. That's a question to our audience. So if anybody would like to share what they think about this, now would be the time. It's not like we have all the answers, by the way. We are here to ask the questions, right? We might have some suggestions, ideas, but of course, that's why we are here with everybody else, so that we can all share our opinions and perspectives. There are no wrong answers. There are no right answers until it turns out to be right, I guess. All of them could be at some point. So if there's anybody who would like to say something, because I think we still have a lot of people on Facebook, so I'm checking in quickly if there is any comment on this. I think the empathy was mentioned there before this poll, but it still applies, that it is indeed useful to actually try to understand these different points of view that people have in the world. So it would be useful to understand that gratitude growing. Why? Because we really want to hold on to what we've got, but at the same time, we really want to go forward. And some of us really think that there will be new normal, whatever the normal is. And is it really new, or are we already there? All of those questions apply. Is there anybody who would like to say something? I don't see any questions coming in. Any comments? No. So perhaps I can stop sharing the screen. And perhaps we could move on to trying to answer Aithan's question, because that's something we haven't tried yet. Is that, should I stay or should I go? It's also a song, right? By the way, we have the playlist, so if anybody wants to play it in the background, feel free. And maybe add the song there as well, because I don't think we've got it. So it would be interesting to know. I see how there's a question coming from Ingrid, to actually hear your opinion about the new normal. What does it mean? How do you see getting used to it in the context of that unknown, and how do you deal with it?
Well, I recently had the opportunity to onboard into an organization where I never met a person face to face, never met a person in the flesh, all went online. And still it worked. It's still, I felt part of a team. Still, I felt very welcome. Still, I felt to make, beautiful relationships. It was a great, experience for me to see that new normal is also possible. You adapt, you adjust. I still prefer, of course, the warm blood, the face-to-face meeting people in person, but it still worked. It was amazing for me.
So you were afraid?
I was afraid. I didn't know if it would work. would work, and it worked, because what you do, you know, they made me feel welcome. They sent me presents at home, you know, little appreciations, and I was invited into their full team meetings. We had what they call, you know, daily or weekly check-ins, where we all answered the question how we felt, or what was exciting, or what were we looking forward to, you know, not work related, but it was so bonding. I never expected this would be possible. If you would have asked me 6 months ago, I thought it would not be possible, but it does. It is.
So, but it's tempting to ask another question. What's the secret sauce for that? Like, why it works, even though it's screen to screen?
It's of course from both sides. So being open to it is one. And for me, it felt like an experiment. So I was very curious. And the company I did the assignment for, they were, you know, they immediately took me in. So they were curious about me, so interested about me, and they showed signs of appreciation in word, but also sending me small presents at home. You know, I felt welcome. So it's both ways, huh?
Mhm.
So it's the curiosity, the openness, and also the appreciation you receive, but also from the other side, the curiosity in you, and putting an effort in getting to know each other, you know, getting to know. They were interested in me, asked me questions, and by the questions they asked in the team meeting, I got a lot to know about them. You need that personal touch.
If I didn't know any better what you were talking about, Ingrid, I would think you were talking just about the relationship between the two people.
Yeah.
Right? About the relationship you create with a friend or with a partner or with a group of new people that you meet. It can be applied anywhere, right? It's like a module.
Yeah. So I've never met them in person, never ever. And they sent me flowers and chocolates, and no, it was really nice.
Oh, lovely. I see that there are more people who say that they had this experience. And they are also mentioning that feeling appreciated is important, and also putting effort in the other side. So that's also something I think we should be adding to our questions about how, what do you experience, what do you use. We can actually, unless you have anything else to add right now, we could ask that question. What is something else that you would like to develop? We are also getting to the time where we have 2 last questions for you. And one of them will be going back to our 5 top 5, let's say, for today topics: self-compassion, gratitude, empathy, vulnerability, and trust. We are going back to the website menti.com. And this time the question is, what do you think you need to develop or want to develop? And what would you like to work on? The code at this time is 8837718. I'm going there too. And I think that feeling of being included, that's something that secretly bonds people even though they have never met. You can include somebody even without being next to them and without ever seeing them in person. There are so many ways to do that, like Ingrid just mentioned. It's good to see that everybody's voting. Aithan is voting, Joanna is voting. I will not mention everybody else by name, but if anybody, by the way, because this is the moment to mention it, if anybody in our Zoom call would like to not be included in case we record and send that recording for anybody else to watch, please let us know, so we will make sure that you are not there. Of course, only the speakers are visible, but in case you spoke up, or if you would like us to not mention you, in case you did, please let us know. Otherwise, this recording will be available for viewing later on our YouTube channel, as of hopefully tomorrow. All right. We've got 11 people who have voted, 12 now. Yeah, I was delaying the process myself. That's not nice. Sorry. That's what happens when maybe you don't have comfortable shoes and you have to multitask with 3 things at the same time. So dancing without shoes would be now. Ta-da. Here we go. Oh, that's so much better. 14, we need to break the 15. who is going to be the last one to contribute? We still have a lot of people, so we still have more than 20 people who are here. So one more person. We've got 15. Okay, so the moment of truth has come. Let's see if we're all working on the same topic or not. Okay, please. Haha. These numbers are very interesting. We've got 30% of self-compassion, vulnerability, and trust. So we basically divided the group in 3. And then we've got 4% of us equally working on gratitude and empathy. Any thoughts, Joanna? I see your consternation.
Yes, yes, and I would gladly, ask Aithan what's his thought on that. But maybe I'll accept the challenge, yeah. And I'm tempted. I see 2 things that I've noticed is that vulnerability is then the one that we need to work on, and it was the one that was one of the lowest scores. Yes, so I guess we are aware that dealing with that is the only way through. And this is the short story. In Poland, we have one of these huge tech universities, and one of the professors there is a mastermind in artificial intelligence, and she's just awesome. And she travels, well, she used to travel around doing different research at different universities. And when I had a chance to watch an interview with her, she was asked, what is the skill that we need to develop in order to face the future that is ahead of us? And I was almost sure that she's going to say something AI-ish, but she did not. She said, we need to develop empathy. That's the only skill set that we're going to need in the coming years, because probably everything else is going to be covered by something, by a robot here, an app there. But empathy and building relationships and giving the things that we are discussing, self-compassion, empathy, trust, are the skills that we're going to need for the future generations to actually be equipped with, so that we can just deal with life. So I'm still going to vote for empathy, and I'm going to encourage every single one of us to actually give it a chance. There's a great short clip on YouTube by Brené Brown where she explains what empathy is, and maybe that's a starting point to actually realize what exactly empathy is, and we can take it from there. So that were
our next newsletter. We will add it to our next newsletter. Awesome. So that anybody who is not familiar can watch.
Awesome. Yeah. So that were these were my thoughts.
All right, Aithan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I my answer, I think, is just what comes to me is just yes. Like, yes, develop. It doesn't matter to me, like, develop. Mm-hmm. Whatever is your edge, that you are working on it intentionally with a commitment to your own growth in a way that when you grow, it will serve those around you. Who's going to benefit when you build your trust? Who's going to benefit when you build your vulnerability? What are you working on right now that will support all the people you're in relationship with? Because you're working on those things. Because there's another choice, is not to develop. That's a choice, right? Not to say, you know what, it is what it is. I can't do anything about it. I'm just going to sit here, period. So that's a choice. And that people are choosing into whatever it is at their edge. So you need to reflect on what it is for you. Not to say one of these is better or worse than the other. For me, it's just that we are choosing in for our own growth in effort to benefit all people and those around us. I think is it's just excellent. COVID or not COVID, you know.
Definitely. I think this would have been the best closing ever. However, it's also food for thought. So we are not done yet with, with our meeting. I think this is something actually to think about, because the next question is really the last one that we've got. And it's, an open question. So you can tell us when my laptop decides to cooperate. Hopefully it will be soon. Aha, now it's working. You can tell us indeed what are you going to work on in the coming month. Let's say March is for some of us the next month of lockdown. Lockdown here, lockdown there. So plenty of time to work on different things. And this time, when you go to Menti, you can put in a word, a couple of words that you think you will be working on, and they don't have to be limited to the 5 that we just talked about. So this is the moment for your creativity to be put to a great use. What is it that you're going to develop? What do you want to commit to? Because now you're saying it out loud, perhaps to yourself, out loud in your head. You are going to put it in writing, which is a commitment. And I'm saying it, and I already feel the commit. So we've got right now no results yet. So let's start putting the words up to 5. You don't have to put 5 words, you can put 1. 1 is already enough, but if you have more ideas, go for it. This is the moment of the awkward silence. We all love it. That's also a part of the unknown. It happens. How do we deal with it?
We write that in the chat, right? Or is there another platform?
We go to menti.com. We put the code. You can also write it in the chat. We will read it out loud. We already have the answer here, and 10 people have already voted. So when we have 15, we will see the results. We've got 12. So then when we have 15, we read it out loud. We will show the results. And yes, we will read out loud also those comments in the comments. 12 people. It's a minute before we should be ending. So of course we should hurry up. 13, I think we can show it already. Ta-da. Haha. And this is a very dynamic situation because right now, if you haven't put it in yet, you can do it. And let's see how it influences our result board. We've got experimenting with vulnerability and trust in others that was put in the comments, which I don't think I see in that cloud. It looks like self-compassion is coming to the forefront because most people said that. That's how this chart works. And I think we will keep it and share later on with everybody for inspiration because it's not just one answer that is supposed to be the one for next month. It's not an assignment. It's more inspiration. What would you like to work on, Aithan? Please, maybe that's the moment to share before we close.
You know what? One of the I'm looking. They're so wonderful, all of these, and the things that come up for me is I wrote down honor myself. Another one is listen deeply, and that's to myself, to others. Really pay attention as I'm doing that. And then I see so many people wrote, stay present or be present and support others on their journey. So those are the things that stand out to me the most, what I'll work on.
Okay. Joanna?
Yeah, my first thought was that what a brilliant idea for 3 of us to actually pick up an open-ended question at the very end, having 1 minute left. Like,
and we do it the other way around.
No, just kidding. Introducing my sense of humor to deal with the unknown. When I look at the list, I feel grateful that we actually came up with this idea because there are so many great ideas that I can, use. But the one that stands out the most, and it wasn't mine, is the one taking it slower. Like honestly, taking it slower, which may sound really weird because lockdown is all about slowing down. But in my case, I guess for some strange reason, it just picked up. The speed is there's a different speed right now, and I think it's because I'm in one place and I see how I can see the speed outside of me when I'm being in one place the whole day. Whereas prior to COVID, I was traveling all around and the speed was with me. I don't know if I explain it correctly, but because when one object is just stuck, you can see how fast you move. Whereas prior to that, I was moving with the speed. I don't know if it makes sense, but so taking it slow because I see how fast it all goes. That's my next month challenge.
We will be circling back to this, so I think we should start with that slide next time when we meet in March and see where we are. So whoever is going to join us in the next session, probably also around the end of March, please feel free to share with us where you are, because we would love to hear from you. That will be your chance to also speak to everybody else, just like Ingrid did. And we are, of course, a little bit late, a little bit over. That's the unknown part. That's a bonus 3 minutes that we've got. Final words from you, Joanna and Aithan, to our participants. I would like to thank everybody, but I think you can close the session better. And that's why we're here, to hear from you.
I just say I'm grateful to be together on this. I'm grateful to both of you, to the people who are showing up, participating in this way, and the hard work to do all this stuff, to honor that it's hard work. Yeah, thanks.
For me, moments like these, like literally that moment, bring sort of like the hope in humanity, which is maybe it's a big word, but like-minded people getting together on a Thursday evening and trying to figure out how to live the next month in a most the best way possible is what I want to put my energy in. So thank you guys, and this gives me hope. And thank you, Julia, and thank you, Polaris, and thank you, Aithan, for another great evening. And thank you guys here and on Facebook, and see you next month.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. We will be shutting down Facebook Live and Zoom. And even though I'm saying this, it was scheduled, and it's difficult to say this. That's the known/unknown part of how difficult it will be to say. See you next month, and let's talk about where we are then. Thank you very much, Aithan. Thank you very much, Joanna. Thank you, everyone, for being with us and for sharing. We really appreciate you. See you next time. Bye. Thanks.